Spinnerman.
Yes, yes.
Yes, haydi.
What's up, YouTube? Shout out to my boy Cervizo. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and don't forget to stay black.
Greetings, dear followers. I have been many things. Arrogant, reckless, aggressive, maybe even intense. I have disregarded the feelings of others, lied, cheated, slapped children, had sex with my mother. I have done it all. The feeling of terror, power, and control consumed me, leaving me thirsty for more. I cherished nothing and respected no one. I was a fiend. And then, as all great reigns of terror, it came to an end. But it was not a violent one. It was much more subtle. Much worse. This is a story of challenges, failures, humiliation, and perseverance. A story of how a young, handsome, cocky man went into a Pokemon Nuzlocke challenge and almost got taught a lesson. This is a story of how Gen 2 Pokemon Nuzlockes tried to serve me humble pie. In Gen 2, the game wakes you up and makes you set the clock. I do it and then introduce myself to good old Oak. He accepts my name as an already understood fact, and we hop into the world. I meet a guy named Professor Elm that immediately asks me for a favor. His friend Mr. Pokemon made an important scientific discovery, and I am to check in on him. Elm gives me one of 3 starters, and I choose Cyndaquil based on overall coolness. Mr. Pokemon hands me a mystery egg he found in the daycare. I also meet Professor Oak there, and he also asks a favor out of me. Knowing that means free stuff, I accept and get a Pokédex in return. I fight a red-haired guy on the way back and mop the floor with him. Upon my return, I find a member of the police force chilling at Elm's place, and Elm looking heavily rattled. The red-haired guy was apparently a thief who stole one of the Pokemon. I rat him out to the cops by naming him others based on life experience. I hand the egg to Elm, who tells me I should complete Oak's mission and catch some Pokemon. For those of you who haven't watched my last video, I recommend you do it, since we are playing a serious challenge here. Also, since we are going to beat great many a Pokemon Nuzlockes on this journey, I decided I won't mention encounters to not take up years of time. Now, the one encounter I will mention is Geodude, because he is very important. See, in Johto games, and I have to beat 5 of them, the first gym leader is a flying type trainer, while the second one is a bug type trainer. By using Geodude and not champing him early, since I will ban champions from each Nuzlocke I beat, check the first videos, I am basically able to breeze through these first 2 gyms in all 5 games. The third gym leader is a normal type trainer, so that's even better. He also beats Red's Pikachu in the final fight of the game, but that's a topic for later. This makes Geodude a high-value encounter, and me a genius for figuring it out. You all can get your rock-hard Pokemon immediately by taking the gate from Route 29 to the southern part of Route 46. Now let's move on with the game. I catch the Geodude, beat Sprout Tower, then move in to face the first gym leader, Faulkner. He starts with his Pidgey, and I decide to cash in value from my Zubat by starting him. The chicken ends itself with Confusion self-hits. I switch to my Geodude on the Pidgeotto and find out that it has Mud Slap. I go to Hoot Hoot for free to lower his attack with Growl. He hits me hard, my berry activates, and I try to growl more. I then barely manage to confuse it with Zubat, then go to Spinarak to try and poison it. I am doing all this to ensure I finish with Geodude even if I get hit with some Mud Slaps, since I am afraid of accuracy drops. I decide to sack Spinarak to be 100% sure, and then finish with Geodude. I breeze through Bugsy with my Kalava, delete my rival in Azalea Town, do some Goldenrod City shenanigans, and then pull up on the third gym leader, Whitney. She starts with Clefairy, and I start Geodude. I wanted to start a rollout sweep, but start missing heavily and switch to Pinsir for a quick headbutt finish. Miltank comes. I find out that he also has rollout and release a small amount of shit in my pants. I try to use Disable with Drowsy and instantly get sent into the Shadow Realm. Sandshrew uses 1 sand attack and dies like a man of honor. Then the rollout stops, and I send Tagetic to charm the fucking cow and drops her attack. I stay in for some headbutts, then send out Geodude to execute some magnitudes for the finish. After about half an hour of me using magnitude and the monster drinking its own milk, I manage to finish and get my 3rd badge. After a slight temper tantrum by the brat. The badge's name is Plain Bad, which figures, since Whitney is a true basic bitch. There is a short fight with my rival in the burned tower of Glitchxcity, after which I immediately run to slap the shit out of the gym leader, Morty. To say he is a walk in the park would be an insult towards the cobblestone of the aforementioned outdoor amusement facility, so I won't say it. I'll just wipe the floor with him using bites from my Crobat and move on. Now, many of us Pokemon players already know that in Gen 2 games, the level cap of the 7th gym leader, Price, 31 in Gen 2, is lower than that of the 6th Jasmine, 35 in Gen 2. The level cap of the 5th gym leader, Chuck, is 1 level lower than that of Price, 30 in Gen 2. We also know you can challenge these gyms in the order you choose, if you are careful about not going over the cap in Nuzlocke. Since Mahogany Town is closer to a critique than the other two, and since Price is beatable by a blind man armed with an ice cream cone, I chose to do him first. Before that obstacle, the game forces you to do the Lake of Rage shenanigans, followed by a raid of Team Rocket hideout by us and Lance, so I go do that first. I then barge into Price's place. I have to be honest, dear viewers, the moment I saw his sorry, skinny, meager figure bent over a walking stick, instead of feeling sorry for him, I felt a strong desire to even further disable his physical capabilities. Maybe I am evil, but maybe he is just asking for it. I don't know. You decide. Be that as it may, I utilize Ampharos to delete his seal. I try to kill Piloswine with Pinsir and Kingler, but fail, then send out the Big Poke to delete him with Surf. Magneton manages to send Dugong to the Shadow Realm, and we are free to move to Chuck. I send out Gyarados against his Primeape, thinking I will just Dragon Rage his ass. After that doesn't work, I use a couple of Leers and delete him with 2 tackles. Jumpluff uses Leech Seed on the Poliwrath and puts him to sleep, and Slowpoke is free to finish with Confusion. This means Jasmine is the only one left of the trio. Kalava kills her Magnemite, and I switch to Slowpoke on the Steelix. He uses Sunny Day, so I couldn't kill him with Surf. I am then forced to risk a Rock Throw crit on my Gyarados. Couple of Dragon Rages kill him, Kalava kills Magnemite, and the show can now go on. I am then forced to defeat evil once again. This time they are congregating in Goldenrod. While completing the mission, I also beat my rival in the underground basement. His Feraligatr drops to a Thunder Punch from Ampharos, Typhlosion nukes the Magnemite, Haunter commits suicide with Curse, and then Typhlosion does Sneasel for the finish. All that is left is dropping a couple of high executives of the Team Rocket in the radio tower, and I become the hero I have always dreamed to be. The last gym leader is Claire, the Dragon-type master. Since Gen 2 does not have the physical special split, an OP strat is to teach the elemental punches to your trusty special attacker, and you can easily wreak havoc on, well, half of the game. These moves are available as TMs in the Goldenrod department store in all 3 of Gen 2 games. For this heavy burden, I chose my Kadabra, since it is extremely fast and a powerful special attacker. I also decided I won't use trade evolutions in my Mega Challenge, simply to add some more spice to it. Be that as it may, Kadabra nukes Claire's 3 Dragonairs with Ice Punch. I switch to Jumpluff on the Kingdra to hit a Leech Seed and the Sleep Powder, then go to my Ampharos. Ampharos uses Thunder Wave to further seal Kingdra's destiny, after which I send Gyarados to finish the beast with strength and get my final badge. This means that for the first time in the history of being the best Nuzlocker around, I have to face the Generation 2 Elite 4 challenge. I go through Tojo Falls, breeze through Victory Road, and enter the final facility. After a short salam alaikum with the members of the staff, I approach the PC to cook up my Elite 4 team. The 6 sexy motherfuckers I chose for the Pokemon Gold Elite 4 are as following. Number 1, Sudowoodo, with Earthquake, Rock Slide, Ice Punch, and Low Kick. Number 2, Pinsir, with Strength, Guillotine, Submission, and Seismic Toss. Number 3, Kadabra, with Ice Punch, Fire Punch, Thunder Punch, and Psychic. Number 4, Lickitung, with Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, Stomp, and Fire Punch. Number 5, Ampharos, with Thunder Punch, Fire Punch, Iron Tail, and Thunder Wave. Number 6, Jumpluff, with Sleep Powder, Synthesis, Mega Drain, and Leech Seed. First Elite 4 member in Johto is Will, the Psychic-type master. My Sudowoodo Rock throws Xatu into oblivion. I switch to Pinsir on the Executor to try and hit a Guillotine, but get hit so hard by Psychic I had to switch to Kadabra. Ice Punch finishes Executor and Xatu, and 2 Fire Punches finish Jinx. Lickitung finishes Slowbro with many a Thunder Punches, and we are free to move on to the next member, Koga. As a Poison-type master, he is no match for my Kadabra from Hell, as she deletes his whole team with ease. Third Elite 4 member in Johto is Bruno, who we all know as the master of toxically masculine types. He also is no match for Kadabra, who just psychics his whole team into oblivion. Last Elite 4 member is Karen, the Dark-type master. I try to do the lead Umbreon with Kadabra, but have to switch to Pinsir for a submission finish. Sudowoodo gets hit hard by a crit flamethrower from the following Houndoom on the switch. I also forgot that dark moves are special in this game, so my Sudowoodo crumbles to crunch. I thought Lickitung was bulky based on its appearance, but I soon find out that is not the case, so I sack it for a free switch. Now, let's pause for a moment. Here I only have Ampharos and 3 more Pokemon left, Pinsir, Kadabra, and Jumpluff. Since Pinsir and Jumpluff die to a flamethrower, and Kadabra to a crunch, my only out is paralyzing the beast with a Thunder Wave from Ampharos, dodging 2 crit flamethrowers, and killing with 2 Thunder Punches. I wanted to paralyze him since I wasn't sure if 2 Thunder Punches will kill it, so if they didn't, I would get a chance for full paralysis. Plus, even if the 2 Thunder Punches did actually kill, I would still have to dodge 2 crits, since being faster after paralysis would allow me to outspeed next turn. If I fail, the dog will simply sweep the rest of my Pokemon, unless Jumpluff gets a sleep powder after Ampharos dies. Simply put, this can go 2 ways. I get served humble pie and go back to the start, or Amphy pulls it off and makes me even more arrogant. I click Thunder Wave, and he casts his first flamethrower. No crit.
Goddamn right.
Amphy Thunder Punches and puts him slightly below half. I'm not gonna lie, after I saw this damage roll, I almost stood up to order the pie myself. He doesn't get full parried, and spits out his next flamethrower. I exchange looks with the waiter and clench my asshole after feeling liquid feces coming out of it. The flame approaches.
This ain't good.
Flashes of my grandmother's Sarma fly through my consciousness like bees shout out of a
Tommy gun!
Bruh. I start praying to Allah, loudly. Time stretches like a chewing gum. And then, boom! Amphy lives and hits the next Thunder Punch to send the Hound back to hell, where it fucking belongs, the disgusting little piece of shit. Karen sends out her Vileplume, and I can switch to Pinsir to tank her Petal Dances and finish with a couple of strengths. Her next Pokemon is Gengar. I put it to sleep with Jumpluff for safety, Leech Seed it, then finish with Psychic from Kadabra. Kadabra also finishes the Murkrow with Ice Punch, and we somehow pull through. Finally, after surviving my first potential humble pie serving, I can challenge the champion, Lance the Dragon Master. He claims that he was waiting for me, and that he will do everything in his power to slap the shit out of me and my Pokemon. But little does he know. I send out my bloodthirsty cheat code, Kadabra, to Thunder Punch his lead Gyarados and then proceed in dominating his next 3 Mons with Ice Punch. I was afraid that Kadabra won't kill Charizard and will die to a Hyper Beam, so I switched to Ampharos to deal with the fire Pokemon. Amphy takes the Hyper Beam, finishes with Thunder Punch, then heroically tanks a Hyper Beam against the last Dragonite and paralyzes it with Thunder Wave. This means Kadabra can come in on the Recharge turn and simply delete the animal with one last Ice Punch to make us the champions of Johto League. But as some of us already know,
That's not all, folks!
see, in Generation 2 games, after beating the Elite Four for the first time, Professor Elm grants you an SS ticket that you can use to sail to Kanto from Olivine City. While in Kanto, there is a small storyline of making the power plant work again, during which you can beat all of the Kanto Gym leaders too. Plus, after getting all of the Kanto Gym badges, you can talk to Professor Oak to unlock the gate to MT Silver, where you can challenge the final boss of the game, Pokemon Trainer Red. Almost all of the Generation 2 Nuzlockes I previously watched were only seen as completed after the player beats Red, and the true champions of the challenge are then the Pokemon he or she used for beating the autistic fucker. After questioning my morality for a moment, I decided I will also make this a rule and consider my Nuzlockes of Generation 2 games beaten only after I beat Red in MT Silver. The Pokemon I brought to the Red fight will then become champions of the Plague game, and only they will be added to my champion sheet. To avoid using completely different teams in the Elite Four and against Red, I decided I will try and use the same team in both cases. Of course, the Pokemon that died in the Elite Four will be replaced, and I will be able to replace any Pokemon that potentially die in the Kanto portion of the game. Also, if during team building I see that I won't be able to defeat Red's team without changing certain Pokemon, or would simply be making an obvious risk of wiping to the last fight of the game if I don't do it, I will change 1 or 2, but only if I have to. Basically, this last rule will only be loosely followed, since I don't want to wipe to the last fight of the game based on an unnecessary complication, and I also don't want to challenge Red with a completely different team, because that move seems to lack style and respect for the culture, as well as the 6 sexy motherfuckers I brought to the Elite Four.
Now we've got that out of the way.
I will just say
One more thing.
the Kanto portion of the game,
in my opinion, lacks poetry.
so I will try and skip most of it during this video, or immediately go to the fight with Red,
Unless
something important happened during the Kanto run.
Be that as it may,
I have to remain sexy and continue playing, so I immediately answer Elm's call and go to get my SS ticket. I board the ship, do some exploring, and immediately after departure in Vermilion City, hop into challenging Lieutenant Surge's gym. None of his Pokemon can touch my Quagsire, so he cleans everyone up with an earthquake. We defeat the other gym leaders pretty easily, talk to Professor Oak so he opens the gates up, climb empty Silver, and face off with Pokemon Trainer Red. I chose my Quagsire to delete his lead Pikachu. Rapidash deletes the Venusaur with a single Fire Blast, Kadabra deletes Espeon with a couple of Ice Punches, and Pinsir kills Snorlax with a critical hit submission. I then send out Quagsire again to beat the Charizard. I use Rest after the first Surf to recover some HP, since I equipped him with a berry to cure sleep. I decide I'll stay in for an Earthquake against Blastoise, and then I send Gyarados to finish it off and grant me my first Johto Nuzlocke victory. I had to use Gyarados since I needed a Waterfall Pokemon to climb empty Silver, which I found out only after I had already planned out my team with a Kingler on it, who couldn't learn Waterfall. So, Red teleports out of the highest mountain peak in the world, and I am left alone to add my first 6th generation 2 champions to my champions sheet and then transfer to our next challenge, Pokemon Silver. This time we choose Totodile as the starter, just to add some nice variety in the mix. Against Faulkner, we delete Pidgey with Hoot Hoot to farm some value from it and also growl the Pidgeotto once. Then I switch to Zubat for Supersonic. Geodude then lands some tackles, but accuracy drops from Mudslap scared me, so I switched back to Zubat for another Supersonic. Geodude drops some more tackles, and so does Scentret. Totodile finishes in the end, and we get our first badge. Bugsy is trivialized by my Geodude from Hell, and I also easily beat the rival in Azalea. But then comes the demon, Whitney. Her lead Clefairy rolls a belly drum on the metronome, so Croconaw finishes with one headbutt. Miltank luckily can't touch my Onix, so after a couple of screeches and about half an hour of milk drinks, I managed to kill it with some rock throws to get our third badge. I easily defeat the rival in the Burn Tower and then move on to Morty. I used the same Crobat plus Bite strategy to defeat it, and actually flinches Gengar 2 times, just like the last time. After a short raid of the Team Rocket hideout in Mahogany, I challenge Price, but Croconaw easily plows through all of his Pokemon to grant us the badge. Against Chuck, I use Crobat to delete both of his fighting Phenoms with some wing attacks. Then I challenge Jasmine. Graveler beats the Magnemite, Feraligatr beats Steelix, and I use Parasect for a Content Spore into Surf from Feraligatr on the next Magnemite. Team Rocket in the Radio Tower is also easily plowed through with the power of my Feraligatr, and just like that, we are left with only facing Claire for our last badge. But, as every consummate professional, I too, the Nuzlocke King, make mistakes. See, if you hadn't noticed by some of the save state messages by now, I played this challenge almost 3 months ago, in December, and back then I was a different man. I valued different things.
You lost the Claire footage, haven't you?
Maybe. You heard my secretary, boys. I have lost it. Nothing to do now. We have to move on. I beat it fair and square. Trust your boy. And also it might not matter soon enough. This leaves us with our second Johto League challenge, and trust me niggas, this one could go both ways. Synergy-wise, it looks like a complete misunderstanding between the coaches, but single power and abilities-wise, these boys are killers. Here they go, in order. Number 1, Hypno, with Confusion, Thunder Punch, Fire Punch, and Ice Punch. Number 2, Feraligatr, with Surf, Headbutt, Ice Punch, and Slash. Number 3, Corsola, with Ancient Power, Mirror Coat, Recover, and Surf. Number 4, Sudowoodo, with Rock Slide, Earthquake, Flail, and Low Kick. Number 5, Scyther, with Wing Attack, Quick Attack, Slash, and Fury Cutter. Number 6, Onix, with Rock Throw, Screech, Sandstorm, and Dig. I have to be honest with you, on a second glance, they don't seem that powerful, but let's fucking go and let's show them who's boss, boys. As we all know, Will, the overgrown nerd, is first. Hypno beats the 2 Xatu with a set of effective ice punches, easy game, easy money. Against Jinx, I get scared of an ice punch and switch to Feraligatr, only to get put to sleep by Lovely Kiss. The amphibian decides that it's the perfect moment to take a nap, even after the Jinx remains locked in on losing its advantage by using Double Slap. After she hits me with a Psychic, I switch to Corsola, but get hit so hard I remember my grandmother's Sarma again. The next Psychic, of course, crits, and my nigga transfers to the Shadow Realm in an instant. Hypno lands a Fire Punch, then also goes to sleep and, following his comrade's example, dies. Sudowoodo manages to Rock Slide for the kill, and I switch to my Scyther on the Executor. Scyther dies to 2 psychics and Onyx finishes. At this point, I raise my glance and see the waiter approaching me, carrying a large portion of humble pie for one. I stand up and decide I will pretend my name is Henry and that I don't know whom the pie is for. I take a look at my team, desperate for solutions. Nothing. The waiter gets closer. I look again. Still nothing. In a last desperate attempt, I stand up and try running for the bathroom. I push the door but cannot do it. It is a fever dream. It is not happening. The waiter is getting closer. I switch to pseudo-wudo and panic. I push and push and push and push it.
Pick up pie, Roger. Your pie, sir.
Okay, I know. I lost to a Generation 2 vanilla game. I know, okay? In my defense, I really got cocky by how easily I beat the previous game and was heavily riding that momentum, so much so that I forgot that I beat most of the Gold Elite Four with Kadabra, which I this time did not possess. But okay, we all make mistakes, don't we? I got served my pie, I accepted my mistakes, and now we move on. It will never happen again, I promise. Long story short, I chose the same starter and breezed through the game easily. This time I put slightly more thought into my choice for the Elite Four team, and these are the sexy individuals I brought for attempt 2 of Pokemon Silver. Number 1, Money Fame, Jinx. With Dynamic Punch, Body Slam, Lovely Kiss and Ice Punch. Number 2, the absolute god of all gods, Skarmory. With Fly, Sand Attack, Swift and Fury Attack. Number 3, formerly known as Drugs the Feraligatr, now nameless. With Ice Punch, Bite, Surf and Slash. Number 4, Corsola. With Ancient Power, Mirror Coat, Recover and Surf. Number 5, Onyx. With Rock Throw, Strength, Earthquake and Sandstorm. Number 6, Hypno. With Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, Fire Punch and Confusion. I step up to Will and spit in his ugly little face. He tells me he's into that and starts taking his shirt off, so I try and walk away from the room, but security brings me back, claiming that the one who dishes it out has to be ready to take it. I told them I ain't ready, but they didn't respond, so I said I was 12 years old. One of them stepped up to Will and told him to chill the fuck out, so the fight could finally start. I utilized Money Fame to delete the Xatu and the Jinx, then switched to Hypno to 1v1 the Slowbro. After getting crit by Body Slam, I am forced to switch to Skarmory. He manages to finish with a couple of flies, and then I send out Jinx to make Zata satisfy it, orally. She does that with an Ice Punch and does the same to the following Executor. After the victory, I run to flee the room, and Will turns after me, smiles with the corner of his mouth, and winks romantically. Damn. As for Koga, I use Skarmory to defeat the Ariados, then switch to Onyx against Fortress. After a year and a half of using Earthquake, Onyx manages to kill it. The next one is Crobat, so I keep Onyx in for a Rock Throw. He starts using Double Team, and I think to myself, not this way, please. I send out Skarmory remembering that he has Swift and manage to finish it, which I might not do in future Johto runs, who knows. Skarmory also finishes the Mook with some Swifts and Venomoth with Fly, and we get the victory. The next one is Mr. Testosterone, Bruno. Skarmory walls Hitmontop and I switch to Feraligatr on a Fire Punch from Hitmonchan. The Gator surfs him to death and invites Hitmonlee in. Hypno destroys him with Confusion, and then does the same to Onyx with Ice Punch. Last one is Macamp, who Hypno deals with pretty easily, so we move on. Against Karen, I use Skarmory to wall the Umbreon and defeat it with some flies. Corsola manages to dodge a Crunch Crit and kill Houndoom with 2 surfs. Skarmory, the absolute god, easily deals with Vileplume and Jengar, and Onyx kills the Murkrow. That leaves only Lance, the well-known and well-respected Dragon Master. Hypno kills the lead Gyarados with Thunder Punch, then the next 2 Dragonites with Ice Punch. Onyx walls Aerodactyl and kills with a couple of Rock Throws. Corsola does the Charizard in with some Surfs, and then I switch to Skarmory thinking I will get outraged or something. He uses Safeguard instead, so I make a mistake of switching to Onyx instead of to Corsola on a Fire Blast, and the poor Snake dies to a critical hit. That enables Jinx to finish the beast off with an Ice Punch at least, and we finally become the Johto champions in Pokemon Silver. But as we all know, our journey is not over yet, so I go and get my SS ticket, run around the ship, beat the Kanto gym leaders, and then, exceedingly attractive and with an undeniable hard-on, move on to Empty Silver to face our last opponent, Pokemon Trainer Red. I use Sand Slash to defeat his lead Pikachu, then switch to Skarmory on the Venusaur. He sets up Sunny Day and dies to 2 flies. I switch to my Feraligatr to tank a sun-boosted fire move. I use Surf, do half, and am forced to switch after a Flamethrower crit. Dragonite comes in, tanks the thrower, and kills with Waterfall. Blastoise comes out threatening with Blizzard, so I send out Money Fame to delete him from the face of the earth. Money Fame also kills Espeon with 2 ice punches, then Snorlax comes out, fat and beautiful. I go to my Skarmory and try to kill it with some flies, but he paralyzes us with Body Slam. After a year and a half of Skarmory using Fly, getting fully parried and Snorlax resting, I switch to Sand Slash. Not to stand out from the crowd, he also gets paralyzed, but at least hits a slash. I send out Hypno then, and he finally manages to finish with a Psychic and get us the long-awaited Pokemon Silver victory. Our belly and mouth filled with the taste of the recent humble pie, we add our 6 big ballers to the champions sheet and get ready for our final generation 2 challenge, Pokemon Crystal. To respect variety, this time I pick Chikorita. I immediately utilize it against Faulkner's Pidgey, since it doesn't have any flying moves. I decide to risk a gust crit from Pidgeotto for the content, and it goes this way. I then land a valuable Growl and switch to Geodude. From here we go to Zubat for Supersonic, land some tackles, go to Zubat again, confuse, go to Geodude, get mud slapped hard, then to Zubat one last time, confuse, Geodude for the win. Buxie is once again trivialized by Geodude, as well as the Azalea rival. I turn my brain on against Whitney this time, and use Tagetic to defeat the Clefairy, so I can charm the Miltank without switching. Onyx then does it dirty for a while, but gets crit hard to 20 health points, so I switch to Furret. Furret finishes with 2 headbutts, and we move on to good old Morty. Now, remember my 150 IQ Crobat spamming bite strategy for Morty? Well, thinking that I found a glitch in the Matrix, I send out Crobat and start using it again, shamelessly. This time I do it on speed up to further enhance my chances of making a mistake. As always, Crobat easily nukes the leading Ghastly and Haunter. Jengar comes out. With my brain completely shut off, I proceed clicking buttons, not even noticing this. He had successfully slept my ass. On the next turn, he uses Dream Eater, eats my Crobat's dreams, wakes me up, and sends me in such a heavy rage, I almost have a physical crash out on my gaming inventory. Thinking I got it all figured out, I remember that in Gen 2 there is no abilities, so this motherfucker cannot be levitate, ergo I can nuke him with 1 magnitude from Geodude. Geodude gets slept also. In a fit of rage, I click magnitude so it also dies. I send out Slowpoke to use confusion. Now, thinking Slowpoke will die to a Shadow Ball, I realize I might have a chance here to switch for Freon and hopefully hit a Mud Slap with Tagetic after he misses Hypnosis, which could happen since he hit them all so far. Then I could work. I wanted to do this since I saw no chance of beating his Hypnosis, Dream Eater, and Shadow Ball with my remaining Pokemon. I switch to Tagetic and he hits Hypnosis on me. Tagetic miraculously wakes up on the next turn and hits a Mud Slap. My big brain starts thinking 7 moves in front, and I think to myself, if I send out Furret, I lose nothing if it dies, and can potentially stall him out of moves if he misses enough Hypnosis. That almost happens, since he starts missing heavily, but Furret eventually also dies. I send Slowpoke out hoping for a Confusion crit or something, but get put to sleep and murdered with Shadow Ball. Bayleaf bravely fights for a while, but gets put to sleep and his dreams get eaten to death. At this point, I get my phone out and start scrolling places that offer cheap humble pie delivery, since I am pretty much fucked. Before clicking confirm order, I click the only move I can click with my Tagetic, Mud Slap. Jengar keeps missing, and I glow up and start abusing that little button. I eventually kill it, and Haunter comes out. Now let's pause here. I have exactly 3 Mud Slaps left, which is the only damaging move I can hit this with. I also have Sweet Kiss, and he can technically kill himself with Confusion. If that doesn't work, the first struggle's recoil will kill me, and I will be served another humble pie from none other than Gym Leader Morty. Also, if he hits a Hypnosis on me, it is all over. For some reason, the humanitarian Morty goes for Nightshade, and I can hit him with Mudslap for free. I remain doing it, he remains missing, and then Sweet Kiss Confusion kills him for my victory. Morty hands me the fog badge. I walk out the gym and, even though I won, press confirm order on that humble pie, because the experience for sure was humbling. Be that as it may, to continue on we must, so I join Lance in raiding Team Rocket Hideout again, and go to face Gym Leader Price after. My Granbull kills the lead seal with 2 Shadow Balls. I land one on the Dugong, then switch to Psyduck. He does nothing, so I go Venonat, who gets nuked by a critical hit headbutt on the way in. Running extremely low on options, I risk crit to use Poison Powder, then switch to Ariados. Ariados lands a Nightshade. Thinking Poison is finishing him easily, I go to my Azumarill, which I was trying to save for Piloswine. The disgusting animal rests, so I drop his defense with Tail Whip. Now that I look at it, I should have stayed in with Azumarill and just clicked rollout, but I guess I wanted to die, so I switched to coughing for a sludge. I go back to Azumarill and still don't click rollout for some reason. He again rests at low health, then I am forced to ride with Ariados. Ariados dies for the Grand Bull to finish with 2 Shadow Balls, and Venonat dies for Psyduck to finish Piloswine with Surf. This all could have been avoided had I just used rollout with Azumarill in the first place, but what to do? Horrendous fight, but we move on. Next one is Leader Chuck. I use coughing to kill the Primeape, then the combination of Mantine and Tentacruel to wall and kill his ace, Poliwrath. Against Jasmine, I use Growlite to beat the lead Magnemite, Azumarill to surf Steelix, and then the Growlite again to finish the second Magnemite. After beating Team Rocket in Radio Tower with relative ease, I move on to face Claire for what I hoped would be the one last time in Gen 2. Grand Bull headbutts the first 2 Dragonair to death. Magneton 1v1s the next one with Tri-Attack. I decide to risk crit on the Kingdra for a Thunder Wave, but I get fully parried and fail. I switch to Mantine on the next Surf and use Icy Wind to drop its speed. Her Dragon Breath paralyzes me. I click Spike Cannon to do some insane damage and farm Kekos in the chat, then go to Azumarill. Azumarill freezes it with Ice Punch and proceeds into deleting it from the face of the earth to get me my final badge. All that is left now is plowing through Victory Road, starting up the PC, and cooking up the team that will challenge the Pokemon Crystal Elite Four. I spend about 45 minutes doing it and come up with the following 6 extreme diverginators. Number 1, Lantern, with Surf, Spark, Confuse Ray, and Thunder Wave. Number 2, Jumpluff, with Sleep Powder, Synthesis, Mega Drain, and Leech Seed. Number 3, Mantine, with Wing Attack, Icy Wind, Supersonic, and Waterfall. Number 4, Corsola, with Surf, Ancient Power, Mirror Coat, and Recover. Number 5, Azumarill, with Surf, Ice Punch, Double Edge, Rest. Number 6, Rhydon, with Horn Drill, Stomp, Thunder Punch, and Earthquake. My first opponent is the guy who already served me once, Will. Lantern kills Xatu, and then I switch to Jumpluff to stall the Executor for a while with Sleep Powder and Mega Drain. After I get nuked by a Psychic, I switch to Mantine to finish the job. Mantine drops 1 Waterfall onto Jinx, then Azumarill uses 1 Surf. At this point, I realize I am going to need Corsola to kill the Slowbro, so I decide my safest bet is sacking Azumarill for a free switch and kill with Mantine's Surf. Mantine finishes Jinx, and I switch to Corsola. I recover once, and very soon realize my only out is risking a crit into landing a Mirror Coat after Slowbro uses Psychic. I hit it once and leave him in red. Then I realize I need to have as much health as I can if I want to dodge wiping to Xatu, who is threatening with Confuse Ray and Psychic. For that reason, I decide to stall his Psychic out with Recover and finish with Ancient Power. The strategy pays off, since the bird confuses me the first turn. He lands a Psychic, I manage to recover and land a Heavy Mirror Coat on the next one. Will heals, and I land an Ancient Power that drops him to yellow. He confuses me, and I start seeing visions of the waiter once again. Nothing to do but to click that button, so I do it. And Corsola breaks free from confusion and cooks the bird with the Ancient Power. The waiter goes away, and we somehow break through. The second Elite Four member is Koga. I use Jumpluff to stall the Ariados, then find out that Leech Seed spreads in this generation somehow, since he switched to Mook and it also got drained. Rhydon finishes it and the Fortress with Earthquake, then Jumpluff finishes the already low Ariados. I try to finish Crobat with Thunder Punches from Rhydon, but that doesn't work, so I go to Lantern. Remember a moment ago when I said that Crobat's double team strategy might cost me? Well, Lantern misses everything after some double teams, and I am forced to go to Corsola. I was just about to call the waiter again, but luckily Corsola managed to nuke Crobat with Ancient Power. Finally, I use Jumpluff to stall out the Venomoth and we move on. Next member is Bruno, the PED's abuser. I stall out Hitmontop with Jumpluff, then go to Lantern to 1v1 the Hitmonchan. Jumpluff then also stalls out the Hitmonlee. Rhydon beats Onix with Earthquake. I am then forced to send out Jumpluff to Sleep Powder the Machamp. I manage to hit, but the following Synthesis heals me very little because of the Sandstorm. I click Leech Seed on the next turn and pray he doesn't wake up, but he does, so my guy drops to a super effective Rock Slide. Mantine manages to finish thanks to Leech Seed and his berry, and we move on with 4 Pokemon. Against Karen, Rhydon finishes the Umbreon with 2 Earthquakes. Mantine then finishes Vileplume, and Rhydon comes back to Earthquake the Gengar to death. Lantern finishes Murkrow, and then the Demon Houndoom comes out. I realize that Lantern is probably dead to a critical hit Flamethrower, and he also might not kill with 1 Surf, so I'm basically fucked. My biggest ball here is the so-called Power Fusion. A quick breakdown of the technique. In this instance, the Houndoom is adamant in copulating with our mother, and will manage to do so if he lands 2 Flamethrowers. Our trusty whale cannot kill him with one surf. This means that, in order for Lantern to kill, he has to live for 2 turns, which is impossible. My only option is, therefore, dodging a crit on the next flamethrower, paralyzing the beast with Thunder Wave when I'm faster, land a confused ray, and pray to the almighty Lord and Savior he either hits himself in confusion or gets fully paralyzed for 2 turns, so I can finish him with surf. A crazy sequence, demanding a respectable degree of luck, but I ain't no bitch, so I go for it. The confusion ticks, he breaks through, and then he gets fully paralyzed
Goddamn
once.
right.
Let's go, we in this bitch. I land a surf, then go back to my religious ways. He breaks out of confusion, gets ready to delete me, but gets fully paralyzed, baby. Let's go.
Goddamn right.
Karen uses a max potion on her puppy, but it's already too little too late since my deadly whale just surfed all over his ass. Ball successful, Karen down, we move on to the champion, keeping our 4 Pokemon. I walk up the hallway, ready to throw hands on sight. Lance stands there and grins arrogantly, the asshole he is. I noticed that in this game they have a new stadium thingy for the champion fight, which is pretty nice. Lance claims he waited for me, I spit at his face, and we start the dance. Lantern uses Spark to delete the lead Gyarados. Dragonite number 1 comes out. I realize that my best chance at winning this fight is setting up Sandstorm with Rhydon for the special defense boost and then styling on all of his Pokemon with Rollout. This is also the coolest option, so I go for it. The first rollout hits, but the second misses, and I am in a bad spot. I click it again, and the first Dragonite dies. The second one comes out, misses its Blizzard, Rhydon hits the next rollout, Dragonite misses another Blizzard, and then Rhydon completes the OG move by killing it and the following Aerodactyl. Once again pulling a ball for content, I bust in my pants and send out Mantine to kill the last Dragonite with 2 icy winds. Corsola finishes the Charizard, and, for one last time, we become the champions of Generation 2 Pokemon League. All that we have left is once again picking up the SS ticket, defeating the Kanto Gym leaders, and facing the big bad boss, Red. I climb into Silver and start running circles around him, asserting my domination and general big dick energy. He says nothing, so I slap him so hard, the weather on top of the mountain starts changing. Instead of reacting, he just pulls out a Pokeball and gestures me to step back so we can fight. I use Marowak to beat the Pikachu with Boomerang. Noctowl beats Venusaur with Hypnosis and Dream Eater, then Blastoise comes out. I easily nuke him with a couple of Sparks, then switch to Mantine on the Espion. Mantine manages to 1v1, then Snorlax comes out. I use Kingler to stomp it do death. Lantern finishes the Charizard. This means that I, finally, after 2 served humble pies and many potential ones, managed to beat all 3 Generation 2 games in a Nuzlocke. I was overall satisfied by my gameplay, since I hadn't made that many mistakes if we eliminate the price fight from Pokemon Crystal. I did wipe to Silver once, but that was due to building a completely horrendous team, so the mistake was in team building, I guess. My plan was always champing lower tier Pokemon in these first vanilla games, since I am going to need better encounters in the games that are about to come. I will add these 6 dominant fuckboys in my champion sheet. For all of you that are wondering what the fuck am I doing here, and what challenge am I talking about, you can watch my first 2 videos for a better explanation. As for the rest of you, next time we are going to Generation 3 and challenging Pokemon Ruby and Pokemon Sapphire, so stay tuned for the next episode. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me on my Instagram, since we are going to the top of YouTube, and there is no doubt about it. Let's go!
Are you ready?